All right, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Decima Podcast. I have my friend here, Johnny. Johnny, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure
Give a
thing.
brief introduction.
Yeah, sure thing. First off, thanks for having me on the show. Um, I might sound nervous, but it's really, I think, excitement from
Me
being on
too.
my first podcast. Um, so yeah, thanks again for having me here. A little bit about myself. I graduated from University of Virginia and pursuing my master's in electrical engineering, and I'm currently a network engineer for the U.S. Security Exchange Commission.
Nice, nice. I guess a little bit about me as well, because people who are going to be hearing this and watching this don't really know me either, and this is my first time doing this. I used to go to George Mason University studying IT. I was a comp sci major at first. Then I transferred out. I go to Purdue. I work with Johnny, same place at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission as a collaboration engineer. So pretty much today you're going to be hearing, I guess, two aspects of the IT world, pretty much from my point of view, from Johnny's point of view. So you're doing your master's in electrical engineering?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. How's that going for you?
Um, Mostly theory. I did have this one math class that kind of messed me up a little bit.
Math
Um,
is,
yeah,
it's,
it's a little
yeah.
tough, but I'd like to blame my professor, but ultimately maybe it's a little bit of me. I've been out of school for a while, so returning back to school at the age of 27. So
Okay.
there's
So
that.
between studying your bachelor's at UVA and studying your master's at George Mason,
Mhm.
what's like the workload like? Is it completely different? Like completely like versus bachelor's and master's? Do you feel more stressed out?
I feel less stressed out with my master's. Um,
Okay.
I think when I was at UVA, I think the curriculum was a little bit more challenging. Uh, there was a lot more distractions, and obviously now I'm working while I'm going to school, so making some money on the side definitely lubricates life a little bit rather than being a broke college student.
Oh
That
yeah.
was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's also kind of hard, especially, working full time and doing school at the same time because you got to worry about work and then schoolwork. I mean, but also the best part is most of the stuff at work coincides with everything you're learning as well. Sometimes, at least for me, in my opinion.
Oh, in your program, does it
Yeah.
coincide a lot? That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now we're doing like um you probably hear the word a lot at work, risk assessment or
Mm,
risk acceptance,
hmm.
doing a paper on that right now. But yeah, I mean, it's good to hear that, it's going well for you and stuff like that. What made you decide to get into IT? Because I know everybody, it's not, what I've heard is it's not for everybody, but people still, push themselves to do it. So what made you want to do it?
Ironically, I don't think that uh, I chose my profession particularly. I think my profession chose me. Uh,
Okay.
as a kid, I was good at math and physics. As a kid, not so much now anymore, but my parents definitely pushed me in math and physics. That's what they could help me with, since I'm a second generation American. Um, they didn't know that much English, my parents. So the only thing they could help me with was math, chemistry, physics. That's what they pushed me to do. That's kind of what I was kind of trained to do as a kid. But ironically, my parents wanted me to be a doctor in college. Typical Asian dream. I want my son to be doctor, president, astronaut, etc., etc.
Actually, what's funny is for us brown people, it's the complete opposite. I mean, for most brown parents, it's either, you become an engineer or strictly a doctor. For
Okay.
me, it was mainly just like, oh no, you're doing IT. That's point blank. That's
Wow.
like I didn't have a choice. I wanted to go to flight school and everything like that.
Mhm.
Nope, completely shut down. They were like, nope, you gotta do IT because that's where the money is.
Right. But I think that's smart, right? Like I think right now, IT may not seem like a sexy field, but once you start working it, you feel very comfortable.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree. Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had some, math physics background, and then I was really into music. And you'll see definitely, I think in your field specifically, Hamad, like there's a lot of correlations between audio management,
Yeah.
circuitry, right? How to set up microphones, video feeds, EQ, compressors, all these digital and electronic analog components that are part of the AV system, right? They,
Yeah.
they coincide a lot, so it was very easy for me to kind of transition between, I guess, a comfortable field and my own strengths and hobbies. So I had no idea that I would work in IT, but I have to say, thank God, thank the higher ups that I do work in this field. I'm very happy with it. I'm sure you are too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely a life changer. I mean, I'm glad my parents pushed me to like do IT. I mean, sure, pilot, like being a pilot is pretty cool and stuff like that, but then there's a lot of other pros and cons into that. I mean, IT, like you can work from home, you you're always with family and stuff like that. Being a pilot will probably push me away from all that and all that kind of stuff. And all the other hobbies, like especially this podcast, like I don't think if I was a pilot, I would ever be doing this podcast right now. But
You
yeah.
might be doing it offline,
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
or
air.
bring the camera all the way across the country and stuff like that. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's a hassle right there. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I guess the $1 million question is what everybody wants to know is,
Uh-huh.
um, in school, how do you get an internship or how do you get a job while you're in school? Because right now I'm in school. Uh, thank God, like I was able to get a job. Didn't have to do any internships and stuff like that. But I had past experiences with my dad's company. So what is your opinion on that? Like, how do people get started in IT?
Oh, I with regards to internships and getting a job, um, I think the honest truth is unless you have some sort of connection already, um, the number one way is just to mass apply, right? You have to put yourself out there. You have to sit through hundreds of interviews, right? And a lot of times, maybe people don't understand that. Maybe they get put down a little bit because they didn't get a call back, or uh, their interview didn't go well, or they didn't get passed on their first or second interview. And it's really nothing down to the candidate. Um,
Yeah,
it's I would say it's luck based, kind of like buying the lottery.
yeah,
The more you apply, the your chances go up, right? And once your foot is in the door, I think that's solid. Your I guess success rate of a next job increases dramatically. Right?
okay,
Everybody can agree to that, but there is no easy way to do it unless you know somebody already. That's
yeah,
the honest truth, right? You will have a competitive advantage if probably your parents were friends with somebody who could put you in, right? Wasn't
yeah.
that like the Bill Gates story where his I think he was neighbors with somebody um, who worked at a big, was it IBM? Let me
I think it
fact
was, I think it was IBM.
Bill Gates neighbor internship. I can't find that now. But yeah, there's some story about that. I would love to fact check it, right? But many people get a head start that way, and if you don't, you just gotta apply to a lot. I know a bunch of my friends who are, I know, maybe a little bit older and more experienced. They told me their stories too. They just apply to 100, maybe call back from 20, get 10 interviews, 5 interviews maybe, and you get your first gig. Afterwards, it's up. The growth is, I think, exponential.
Yeah, especially when you once you get into the door.
Hmm.
It's just smooth sailing right after that. I
Right.
remember I had to apply like a gazillion places before I got this job. Um, Applied to like Khaki, Booz Allen, everything. Only got probably like one phone call from like 300 applications.
Hmm.
And it turned out to be like on my first day at the SEC. That's when I got a call from Khaki. They wanted to hire me as a help desk agent. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, well, it's kind of too late for that. Sorry. Um, but do you think certs, well, actually, certs are most probably important. Me and you can both agree on that. But do
Hmm.
you think a degree in IT is needed for somebody to be in IT?
Is needed? I don't think so. I don't think a degree is necessary. Um, I mean, even in our workplace, we can see some people who don't have degrees. I'm
Yeah.
not going to name names, of course. I'm
Yeah.
sorry if they're watching this podcast, but you're safe. But they are very successful in what they do and how much they earn. Some of them I do think deserve to be where they are, regardless of whether or not they have a degree or not. I think the only benefit of having a degree is later on down the line. It leaves room for negotiation, right?
Yeah.
So you can't be bullied by management, right? And then credibility, right? Like even though you could be a very good engineer, technically very strong, but sometimes it doesn't feel so good when somebody else walks in the room with maybe their PhD and their master's and like 10 certs that you've never heard of. It's like an alphabet soup signature at the end of their email. We all know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But when they say send an email to you saying that, oh no, you're wrong, it feels kind of bad, right? So I would say like it's really a lubrication tool, but to be hired in this field and to be technically strong, I don't think it's degree dependent.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good touch with that. Yeah. I mean, I kind of had my doubts about getting a degree in IT. I mean, you already know. I had
Hmm.
my little hurdles, I guess. Um, but let's talk about certs, because
Mm,
that's the other $1 trillion question. Um, I keep hearing people want to go for like CompTI,
mm,
some Cisco certs. I mean, we both know Cisco certs are pretty good. Um, Azure, Microsoft stuff, AWS. Now, if someone were to start off on a good slate, let's put it that way, what certs would you recommend? I would personally now, um, I would probably go for an Azure cert right now.
right. Since cloud is so popular these days,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. What do you
Um,
think?
no, I agree. I think vendor specific certs, a lot of the times people might shy away from a vendor specific cert since they think it locks them into that specific vendor. And, when you're applying to 100 jobs, not all companies are going to be using the same products and applications.
Yeah.
Um, But I would say it's more of a benefit, right? Because from the hiring perspective, um, they are saving money by hiring somebody with a cert. I do a little bit of government contracting, just getting my feet wet. And what I know from listening to the cores and to the primary contractors as a subcontractor, um, they will hire based on what certs you have purely. Sometimes a candidate might come in and they might perform really well on an interview, but since they don't have, let's say, a Cisco cert, right? Um, they might not get hired compared to somebody who performed okay, but does have a cert. And that's simply because of a licensing deal between the business and the vendor, right? So the idea is, let's say Cisco believes in their head that, oh, if company X has 10 people with Cisco certs, they're less likely going to call our TAC or our support team
Yeah.
and bother our labor and man hours since they can probably solve it themselves, right?
Yeah.
So they'll give us cheaper deals, ultimately saving money. And that's, I guess, what most businesses are about. They just well, any business wants to save money, so that's understandable, right? I'm not gonna say
Yeah,
they're
especially
greedy, but
inflation and stuff like that. I mean,
right,
yeah.
right. So yeah, I think certs are wonderful. There are many ways to get certified, and I think other than that, I wouldn't say there's a benefit over a cert versus a degree otherwise, right? So the
Yeah.
main benefit is that you're more hireable because you're saving money for the business.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still need to get a few certs. I don't even have anything right now, but soon the world's gonna catch on and everybody's gonna start asking for a cert. Especially now in our environment, especially teams becoming a huge thing.
Hmm.
So when it comes to networking,
Hmm.
um, I guess question is, and I get this a lot, like how do people network? I mean, LinkedIn's one place,
Hmm.
and then going to conferences is another.
Hmm.
But what's your opinion on that? What's the best way to network with IT people?
Best way to network, in my opinion, is definitely um, if you're in a position like us and we speak to other vendors,
Hmm.
right? I would say that's the best way since you are able to speak to them on a personal basis. They somewhat know who you are, you know who they are. There's a trusted relationship that's already built there, right? So
Yeah,
with you and I who work with Cisco almost on a weekly basis, right?
yeah,
I would build relationships with Cisco. And if you're working with Teams engineers, I would build a relationship with Microsoft people over there. Azure, same thing. AWS Cloud, same thing, right? And you're on the right track, right? Step one,
yeah,
add them on LinkedIn, right?
yeah,
Put yourself out there a little bit, right? And then step two, just every once in a while, tell them they're doing a good job, right? And don't be fake about it, obviously, but like if they're helping you out a lot, which I know our vendors are helping us out a lot,
yeah,
it's nice to give them some praise, right? And the help is mutual. It goes both ways, right? Like
yeah,
if you want to move to Cisco or Microsoft, all of a sudden you have a relationship with Cisco and Microsoft,
yeah.
and they know your work ethic. They know that Hamad's a nice guy. Hamad's a good engineer, right? And I have a relationship with him. I know him. I'm more likely going to recommend him if a position opens up, right? And we
Makes
all
sense.
know recommendations go a long way in
Oh yeah,
hiring
especially like
process.
it's a huge jump to get your foot in the door, especially to an
Exactly.
interview,
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. But if someone were a college student with,
Mhm.
you know, they don't have any of the access like how we do to like vendors and stuff like that, how should they get out there and network?
So there's a
It's a
bit of
tough
a
question.
there's a bit of a sneaky strategy I would employ, and I'm not. Ooh, maybe this is $1 million secret, guys. If you're watching this podcast, it's it's honestly you want to be friends with probably the smartest guy in your class.
Uh,
Yeah, because he's gonna ace every interview, right? It doesn't matter like if you went to a state school or Harvard or Yale or something like that.
yeah.
If there's a genius in your state school or community college, he's going to go into every interview and absolutely demolish those interviews, right? He's going
Okay.
to be able to find a job or he or she are going to find a job for themselves. They don't need connections, right? They're just that good, right?
Yeah, it's really not hard to spot those guys. I mean,
Exactly, exactly. It doesn't hurt to be friendly. I wanted to bring it up earlier, but I forgot. It's like my main theme about myself is like I just like I want to be friendly because I think if I'm friendly with other people, they'll be friendly with me, and it
yeah,
doesn't hurt to be more positive and friendly, anyways, right?
yeah,
And I want to tell like people who are in college, just be friendly with everybody, particularly the really smart kids, right? Because they're gonna help you. They're gonna help you find a job later
yeah,
on, later down the line. They're gonna put in a recommendation. They're gonna say, "Hey Johnny, hey Hamad, I remember that guy. While I was busting my ass studying, right? This guy was with me, right? This guy bought me lunch one time, right? And he was really nice. So um, maybe we should hire him. Maybe I should recommend him, right?
yeah,
And that's a deep thing too. With being friendly and nice to everybody, right? Um,
yeah.
I don't look down on somebody because they work for me or like they're my junior or something like that. Because at any moment in time, right, whether they're just lucky or they're really good, they could be my boss one day, right?
I think about that all the time. Like
Yeah,
that's why, like, I don't
exactly.
want to burn any bridges with anybody and stuff like that because
Hmm.
you never know. One day, like they'll you walk into an interview and they're like, "Oh wait, you're the hiring manager. Oh crap."
Yeah, exactly. All
Yeah,
right, so you just want to, I really want to say, just be upbeat as possible, right?
yeah,
Being kind to everybody as much as possible, and they'll get you far. As I, I don't know, I was gonna quote Gandhi, but I don't know any quotes for
Well,
Gandhi.
you can quote yourself at this point. Yeah.
No, 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 no. I gotta wait for you to say something cool, and then I'll quote you one day.
I'm trying to think of something cool, but I'm not that cool. I'm not that cool.
Not yet, not yet. You'll say something cool eventually, and I'll be like, "Can I use that?"
Yeah, the whole networking thing is like it's a huge plus. I mean, I always tell people that always like come up to me and ask me like, oh, like how do you know all these people and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, just create a LinkedIn account, like especially like when you're first starting at school and college and you want to get these internships stuff like that. I mean, the best way is like hop on LinkedIn, go to your school, start adding people,
Hmm.
reach out. Like I've had a few people at school like already reach out to me like, hey, how do I get into GDIT? How do I get into this? And
Hmm.
stuff like that. Especially when you're applying, like add the recruiters on LinkedIn, reach out to them and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Like, hey, I want to get into this. What are the steps and stuff like that? And surprisingly, um, I've actually seen a lot of recruiters like actually help out. I mean, um, it's just higher. It's just surprising to me. Like I'm surprised like these recruiters are actually helping people out. They're not like closed off and stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, it's surprising for me to hear too. I would expect the majority of recruiters to be kind of trying to bring in people in bulk and not really giving attention, like individual attention to the people they're actually recruiting. So,
Yeah,
but I think, that's I want to summarize that little segment by just saying like I think you specifically, Hamad, if if somebody at your school at Purdue, they were just really nice to you the entire time. They helped you out, they took you out to eat, etc. Like just genuinely nice, not like a fake nice, but
yeah,
genuinely nice to you.
yeah,
And then one day they're like, "Hey, Hamad, there's someone I really respect. I'm graduating soon. Do you think you could help me with at least the recommendation?" Like I'm sure you'd say, "Of course,
yeah, of
yeah,
course. Yeah,
exactly, yeah."
yeah,
So those personal relationships go a long way.
yeah. So once somebody finishes up school,
Hmm.
what do you think they should do next? Especially if they have not got any experience, because everybody thinks like, oh, I got a degree in IT. I'm gonna start making $150,000 a year. That's not true. I've been hearing that going around a lot lately. Like, I open up TikTok, first video comes up. So I'm out of college. I should be making $150,000 a year. I don't know what's wrong with this job market. I'm like, it's not the job market. It's just you kind of have to get the experience before you even graduate. Like it could be a
Right,
small internship. It could be something like super small just to fill up your resume.
right.
So what do you what do you think a person should do right after college?
I think you got it spot on there, Ahmad. I think you got it spot on. Honestly, if there was a friend or a kid who came up to me and they asked me, "Hey Johnny, I just graduated. What should I do next?" And I asked them, "Did you have any internships in college or work experience?" And they say no. I'm gonna,
You're cooked.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're cooked. I don't think there's much you can really
Yeah.
do. You're gonna be way behind the curve. Um,
Yeah.
with today's meta of of work in general, not just IT, you really need an internship by your third and fourth year, at least
Yeah.
one, at
Junior and
least.
senior year is like important. Like
Exactly.
it's super crucial.
Mm, mm,
Like I had my freshman year, like um I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Handshake is. I'm pretty sure
mm,
you know what Handshake is, right? So signed up with my school account. I didn't even touch it. I just uploaded my resume, didn't even touch it. Um and I had a few companies reach out to me about an internship, and they're like, "Oh, once you get to your junior year and your senior year, you should definitely come back and apply. And then when you graduate, it could turn into a full-time job."
right.
And I feel like people don't understand that, how important that part is, especially when you're just in college, you're 4 years and really don't do anything about applying and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like everybody's like, oh, I can't get this internship, I can't do this, I can't do that. People don't really put in the effort to do it. especially like my generation and us being lazy and stuff like that. I'm calling myself out pretty much because I'm
No,
still a victim. Like, there are some points in my life that I get lazy and don't really want to do anything. But then I realized that it's important to do these stuff, especially apply. Like apply, apply, apply. That's
hmm
all I hear. Apply, apply, apply. So, I mean, that's what I feel like people should do. People sometimes don't do it,
hmm
and they're also scared of reaching out. Um, so, I mean, especially if you're just getting out of college, you gotta get some experience. Like, you can't just come out of college with zero experience, and you're
hmm
not gonna get a
hmm
job at that point.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I think it's even something so simple like um, even get if you're doing trying to do IT, right? Just get something with your school. Apply to something part time at your school that's
Yeah.
relevant to
Georgia
IT.
is like the help desk thing on site.
Right,
Like
right.
that's a
hmm
good, easy part of your resume right there.
hmm
Like you can jot that down.
hmm
That's experience right there.
Yeah,
Um,
do it for free. Even do it for free. Contact your local library. Just tell them, hey, I know you have a bunch of computers in here that might need some maintenance, right? Um, I'm willing to sit here and learn from you and do it for free. Uh, I don't think it hurts to try to ask them that. Um, Obviously, they're going to be, who is this kid? But you can be ready, bring your resume, prove that you're a student somewhere close by, right? And just shoot your shot. And most internships don't get paid anyways, but if you're lucky enough to get a paid internship, um, you know, kudos to you, right?
yeah, which most of them are like nowadays. Most of them are like they range from like $15 an hour to like 20. One of the bigger companies I think is like 30 an hour,
Mm.
which is pretty good for an internship.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think a couple of my buddies down at Georgia Tech and at UVA, they um, got really high paying internships. My brother, he was an intern for BlackRock and he was banking like 55, $60 an hour
damn.
as an
Okay,
intern at BlackRock. Um,
pretty
and
good.
yeah, Capital One has a similar program. I think some Amazon software engineers have a similar program.
Uh,
The only caveat is I think that's how they reel you in, since they give you really high rate for internship, and then once you graduate, you want to stick with them, and then they all tell me that the the actual engineering rate is the same. Yeah,
well,
it's still pretty
yeah,
good. Still
it's
pretty
still
good.
pretty good. I mean, if you just got your degree, I mean, I would expect that much at least if I just got my degree and just came out of an internship and stuff like that. I guess the other thing you said, resume, like that's the other important part,
Mm,
this entire process. Now, I've seen a few resumes of college students, and I gotta say they're pretty much like everything is like filled into a resume.
mm,
Now, I heard that it shouldn't be really that filled, because people wouldn't like recruiters wouldn't want to read all that. So what's your opinion on that? What do you think should be on a resume? Like, should it be that filled? I don't think it should be that filled, right?
I
Like
think
super.
if you're first graduating from college, your resume shouldn't be longer than 1 page.
Okay.
Unless you're a rock star and you had 2 or 3 internships and maybe a full-time job, like yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you're Hamad and you're a rock star, I think it's okay to have two. The biggest difference in the US is I think most of the time people are only looking for resumes in the US. Nobody's really looking for your CV. There will be cases where somebody's asking for a CV, but as a college student that just graduated, your CV can't be longer than your resume in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you have like maybe like 1 or 2 years of experience. I mean, like,
Right.
like 3-page essay.
Yeah, don't BS it too much. I'm not saying don't BS it, but don't BS it too hard. It looks a little sus, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the important thing is to modify your resume for every job you apply to.
Yeah.
You can see the requirements on these job postings. They'll often even like bold letter them,
Yeah.
underline them, capitalize them. Um, and in our new day and age of tech, uh, if you can't fit those bold words into your resume, a quick hack is to put it into your resume and then make the letters invisible or white. Um, a lot of times they will automate the checking of resumes without even reading it. They'll
Yeah.
just search for those keywords and candidates with those bold requirements, right?
It's just ChatGPT it at this point. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah, it's just ChatGPT. I know they have that silly thing where they have like ChatGPT detector and then the the bypass ChatGPT navigator, right?
yeah,
But yeah, don't overdo it. Honestly, we want to get to the interview where we can show the hiring managers that we're qualified to be here, that they should give us a chance. Um, Obviously, don't apply to a job where you think you have no experience in, and you're just going to absolutely waste your time and the hiring manager's time. But
yeah,
if you see a job that you can eyeball, you can see yourself there reasonably. Um, yeah, maybe sneak those words into your resume. If it's a big lie, like it's asking for a PhD, please don't do that. You know?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure, most people are gonna be watching this probably not don't have their PhD yet. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would say. Keep it short, one page, two-page max. Um, honest, honestly, people aren't even reading your resume; they're just putting it through an automation tool to look for,
yeah,
keywords.
yeah, yeah. Especially, I feel like feel like the U.S. market they don't really read resumes. But I've submitted a few applications like in Dubai,
Hmm.
and they surprisingly actually read everything on a resume.
Wow.
Yeah, I was shocked. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah. So when students are looking for, I guess, students and somebody who's graduated from college, um, where would you go to look for a job? I personally would use LinkedIn because Indeed
Mm.
sucks. I feel like Indeed, if you search something specific, like if you put VoIP engineer,
Hmm.
it's just also going to show you like a few help desk positions and stuff like that. And it's not going to exactly look for what you're looking for.
Mm.
What would you use?
Okay, hold on. Let me bookmark that real quick. I got a few software engineers that work at Indeed. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so I'll let them know, your product isn't working for the general viewership.
Yeah.
Um, because I don't think I wouldn't expect LinkedIn to outperform Indeed, in terms of looking for jobs. Now on LinkedIn, there are, I guess, a lot of people who will reach out to you, and most of these people are recruiters.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of times it's from, maybe it's just my experience, but it's kind of like third tier, never heard of them kind of companies. Um,
Hmm.
Honestly, it makes me feel like I shouldn't trust these people when they're telling me, "Oh, do this job, do whatever job." Because I heard these maybe it's fake news, but I heard people saying that there are these fake positions that these people will
Really?
come try to recruit you for, and then you work for them for like 2 weeks or a month, and
And not getting
they never
paid?
pay you,
Oh,
right?
damn.
And they're like sourced in India or something like that, right? It's kind of scary, but
Yeah, that's a crazy world we live in, I guess.
right,
Uh,
right,
why does that exist? Yikes.
yeah. I don't know. But to answer your question, where would you go to apply? Um, I hmm. Honestly, I apply straight through Google, right? I think
Okay.
like the default jobs that appear in Google are pretty good in my
Really? I don't see any of
yeah.
those. I don't see them. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Um,
just search up the like the position or whatever in Google.
yeah. Let me pull one up now. Like in my case, it's like network engineer position near me, and then a bunch of them just pop up. Um,
I'm gonna check that out then. It's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
a
Okay.
bunch of. You can even save it on Google. Um, so I don't. Maybe there's a benefit of doing Indeed or LinkedIn. I mean, personally, I do have my resume on LinkedIn and Indeed, which I guess is a plus. It's easier for
Yeah.
us to share that information with recruiters and hiring, I guess, leads. But It's the same either way, really. I don't see one benefiting one over the other.
Yeah. Okay. It's pretty good to know. I didn't know Google was built like that.
Mm,
Um,
It is built like that, but lately, I don't know about you. I haven't been using Google as much. I've been defaulting to some AI products.
yeah, me too. I mean, especially to get a quick answer,
hmm
been going to ChatGPT a lot.
ChatGPT, right?
Yeah. Um, okay. I guess Google's coming in clutch, I guess. All right.
But it still has its benefits over ChatGPT. ChatGPT can't give me the links to job applications, can it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe the CEO of ChatGPT might watch this and be like, "Oh, wait, let me do this real quick. Let me review."
Mm.
Uh, Especially AI is trying to take over the IT.
You think it will? You think it will?
It's getting there. I mean, I literally saw a job on LinkedIn, believe it or not, um, for you to voice audition your voice for AI.
Mhm.
And it was like some kind of IT company that was looking for somebody to do that. So I
Right.
don't know. I mean, in our experience, like right now, network switches and stuff like that. I mean, we used to enter CLI commands like on our own, right?
hmm
Now AI is like handling network switches and stuff like that. So
Mm.
it's slowly getting there, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if AI would take over the world, but I mean, it's getting there. I mean, Elon built a robot thing from, I forgot that one movie. What's that one movie called?
iRobot?
Thank you. Yeah, iRobot
hmm
built that thing. I mean, it's getting there. I don't know if it would take my job. It might take my job. Who knows?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so I think Hamad knows, but most people like that are watching this don't know, but a big part of my uh responsibilities are surrounding AI and automation. Um Currently we were working with two big Cisco products and one Graphian product for SD-WAN and SDA, which is, the precursor to advanced AI for network and IT technologies. I would say where it's sitting right now, there's no way it's going to replace us.
Human.
Yeah, in 10 years' time. Um,
I mean, someone has to build the AI anyway. A human being has to do something with AI. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
think it's still in its early days. I know ChatGPT makes it look very advanced, and maybe it's just Cisco and Graphian that aren't so advanced. Sorry if you're listening to this, Cisco, but I don't think your SD-WAN and SDA products are that great. Unless you fund me, fund me, and I'll say it's great. No, I'm kidding. Um, but yeah, there's so many mistakes that it makes. There's limitations to it that don't make sense.
yeah.
Um, and every
Which you
time
think a
they're
human would
pushed,
probably catch on, right?
say that again.
A human would probably catch on to those stuff, like the mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say like any experienced engineer would catch on to many of the limitations and mistakes that those products are creating. But with AI and automation, it comes up with another level of complexity in terms of setting it up and maintaining the product, right? Um, so I don't think it will replace us in 10 years just yet. And I know that's a hot take since most tech bros and tech guys like you and I would say, "Oh, AI's the new thing. It's the it girl, It's gonna
Yeah,
kick us all out to the curb." I don't think so. With new solutions come new problems.
that is true. That is
Mm,
true. I mean, especially with like I've been working on Microsoft Teams automation and stuff like that.
hmm
It's a it's a new can of worms. I'll say that.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, um, speaking of, network engineering and stuff like that, I know if a few college students think that, oh, cybersecurity is probably like one profession in IT. I feel like some people think that IT is like a small world, but there are a bunch of
Mhm.
bunch of different roles out there that people can get into. It's not just always like VoIP engineering, network, cloud, cybersecurity. There's a gazillion things. Um, so I guess the question is like, what do you think would be like a stepping stone to get into first? I
Mm.
personally think like probably like where you started off, VoIP engineering. I feel like that would be like a good basic knowledge if someone wanted to get into network engineering. That'd be the
Hmm.
best place to start. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say it's hard to say. I would say network and security are the cornerstones. As a network engineer myself, I'm going to favor network a little bit more. Um, I
I
mean,
mean, it's
can't
important.
have security if you don't have a network. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the funny thing is like somebody that me and you both know. He says it to me all the time. Networking is important. So, I mean, without networks, none of this would work, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking right now, right? Nobody would be able to use the internet. We wouldn't be able to communicate, text, email, calling, even phone calling. Like we talked
Yeah.
about VoIP a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So all of the beautiful pieces of technology that we enjoy today wouldn't have it without networking, right? Even the
Yeah.
term networking itself is actually really broad, right? We got people who specialize in wireless technologies like Wi-Fi, right? We got people who work specialize in data center technology, cloud technology, we mentioned earlier, security for each of those that I just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And then there's cellular services, right? How do we get
Phone
phone,
call.
yeah,
Yeah.
on our phone? And then satellite services, right? How do we get GPS? How do we get timing and stuff like that? Um, sorry, are you hearing that? What bad?
No.
Oh, you're not. Okay. I
No,
don't. I have
you're
Do
good.
Not Disturb on, but I guess it doesn't matter. Apple products.
Yeah, I mean, funny about Apple products is like without networking, like uh most
Mhm.
people who have Apple products like hey, do not disturb all your devices.
Mhm.
Try to do not disturb. Can't do that
Right,
with
right. And
yeah.
everybody has to know the OSI model, whether you're a software engineer or network engineer. They all function on the same standards in order for tech to work,
Yeah.
right? So I wouldn't say there's one benefit of doing of starting in one field over another. Um, I would say network is just more broad. So if you work in the network engineering field, you'll have a good platform to
Yeah.
jump to other things, right?
Okay.
If you start really niche, it might be harder to go to, from AV to security.
Yeah.
You know, might be a little difficult, right? But it's not difficult to jump from AV to VoIP, from VoIP to cellular. mm,
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit difficult, but not too bad. Not too bad, right?
Pretty sure it's kind of almost the same, but not really. I mean, cellular is like on a whole nother scale. Like
hmm
local networks is one thing, but cellular network is a huge
Right,
thing.
dealing with radio frequencies and stuff like that.
Cell
Um,
towers and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's a lot in common because they all use um a circuit a packet switched core. So
Yeah.
they'll use what's called the air interface, right? As you know, in traditional networking, it's a switch port
Yeah.
on a switch, and that's your interface, right?
Yep.
But in cellular, they'll call it like an air interface or something like that. It's basically just connected to a cell tower and receiving your channels on the radio frequency that you were assigned. Right?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess to the next thing. This is also like a trillion dollar question, I guess. Um, when going for your bachelor's, since I haven't, when going for your bachelor's, since I haven't actually, finished my bachelor's yet,
hmm
still in my final years. Would you say you've learned more studying for your bachelor's or more on the job? Because
Definitely more on the job.
on the job, yeah,
Yeah, and that's why I think like uh, companies care so much more about experience than they care about what degree you have. And that's why earlier I said I don't know if there's an emphasis on degrees.
Yeah.
Um, I think with something like a medical profession, right? You get your experience by going to school,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. That major is like strictly like you have to learn everything in school.
hmm hmm
Um,
But with
like
with IT, like everything is online for you to learn. Um, you don't have to go to school to get a cert to prove that you're well versed in a certain technical field.
yeah.
Um, so I would say self-studying trumps a degree in terms of technical capability.
I'm not gonna lie, the probably the only thing that I've learned from school that has literally applied to work is probably the OSI model. That's probably literally the
Right.
only thing probably learned in school so far that only applies. I mean,
But you could have learned that outside of school, right?
yeah, I mean, exactly, exactly. I would say like everything else, like I didn't know how to like do commands on the switch until I was taught that at work.
Mm,
Um, but also that could have been done with self-learning as well. But um, most of these college courses, especially at the bachelor's level, is like you learn how to use Excel. I mean,
mm.
I mean, sure, you're gonna use that at the workplace, but it's not one of those technical things that you should learn um, pretty much to get a job, pretty much. Um, so it's a it's an interesting, I guess, topic. I guess like, do you learn stuff at school and does it really apply, or do you learn more stuff on the job and that does that really apply as well? Which it does. I mean, we both know it does. Like
Mhm.
we've learned so much things on the job versus being at school.
Right, right. I would say too, especially what I'm learning now in my master's, it's a lot of the theory is fundamentally true, but in the workplace, you're gonna see that theory doesn't really get you there. There are gonna be bugs and physical issues,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and most of the time, I would say at work, the problem isn't the tech, it's other people.
The user, I would
Yeah.
say it's the user. Most of the times it's user error.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody made a mistake somewhere, they didn't know it or something like that, and that's why it's not working, or you have to brainstorm about a solution real quick.
Yeah,
And sometimes even internally with your own team, it's like just navigating personalities is more difficult than your everyday job, right?
yeah,
Maybe somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed one day and they sent a really nasty email to everybody, and you
right,
know,
yeah.
and God forbid your manager does that because you're just clenching your butt for the rest of the week.
Cooked.
Hopefully, he doesn't
Yeah,
pick on you.
yeah. Cooked. Get cooked.
Right, right.
So if there was, we're just gonna close this off, I guess,
Okay,
because all the topics we discussed has been pretty, I guess, pretty helpful for people who are gonna watch this.
I hope
Um,
so. Yeah.
but if you were to give advice to a college student, what would it be? Regardless
Advice.
of their major,
Can you say that again?
regardless of their major,
Regardless of their major.
or it
Um,
can be major specific, up to you.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
advice would you give?
I'm gonna go back to the first theme that I brought up, and that's just be nice, um,
Yeah,
be friendly. Um, I think sometimes with IT specific people, it's hard for us to be more social, since we spend so much time in tech in the virtual world. You know,
yeah,
we forget our physical world social skills, or forget to put those points in the skill tree. I like to think of it as like a video game because I'm a video game kind of guy, a tech nerd, right?
yeah,
It's like the beginning of the game, you only have so many points to divide into your skill tree, and a lot of times the tech bros they don't put enough in socializing. Um,
yeah,
so I would say it's not too late to reinvest those skill points. Um, if you're under 35, under 30 probably closer, you still can reinvest those skill points, put it into making the world a more friendly place to live, right?
yeah,
And you will see the results. I promise. I promise, right? Like maybe you're nice for 1 or 2 days, and then on the third or fourth day somebody's really mean to you, right? You feel like the world's unfair. Get over it. it's like just get right over it. You have to trust the process, and you're gonna be happier yourself. Um, and at the end of the day, it helps me sleep personally, and I think it's helped me a lot with building relationships with other people, and maintaining those relationships. So, especially if you need a job, you gotta be nice. But
Yeah.
otherwise, like, just be nice. Yeah.
Cool. Well, appreciate you coming on this podcast. First episode.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna drop this on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and if you're listening to this, uh, reach out through the Instagram. It's gonna be at the Decima Podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments, and I'll respond to them, or I'll pass them to Johnny, and we'll respond to him on his behalf. But yeah, thanks for coming on here, Johnny. Appreciate it.
Also, no, thanks again for having me. Love to be here again, or help you out with your podcasting in the future.
Cool.
Wish you the best.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, take care.